Hi everyone, you're welcome to MJ Apparel tutorial, and today we will be learning how to draft a fitted female trouser or pant with a zipper fly, a pocket, and how to get a perfect crotch for a trouser. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and also drop a comment. Here I have drawn this vertical and horizontal line to serve as a guide for me. Next we'll be inserting our vertical measurement, which is the waist to the hip depth, waist to the crotch, waist to the thigh, waist to the knee, and waist to the ankle of the trouser. So we'll go straight to inserting this measurement. So this line here is going to serve as my waistline. The first I'll be doing is to insert the waist to the hip depth, which is 9 inch. So I'm going to be marking it at this point, and I'll also do the same at this point also, so I can draw a straight horizontal line, after which I will connect the 2 points together using a straight line. Next, we'll be inserting the waist to the crotch depth measurement. The waist to the crotch depth measurement I'm using is 10 inch. To get this measurement, you sit on a house tool and take your measurement from the waist to the house tool, or you divide your hip by 4. Whatever you get can be used as the crotch depth for the trousers. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line at this point also. Next, I'll be labeling it. The line here is our hip depth line, while this line here is our crotch depth line. The next thing we'll be inserting is our thigh line, and the thigh line is 3 inch below the crotch line. So I'll mark 3 inch below the crotch line and also draw a straight horizontal line again. So this line here will serve as our thigh line and we'll label it TL. So the next measurement we'll be inserting is the waist to the knee length. So the waist to the knee length I'm using is 23 inch. So I'll be marking the 23 inch at this point, and I'll do the same on the other side. I'll mark the same 23 inch, after which I will connect the 2 points together using a straight line. So we'll label this part KL, which is our nail line. So the next measurement we'll be inserting is our waist to the ankle, which is the full length of the trouser, and the full length I'm using is 40 inch. I'll mark it at this point, and I'll also do the same on the other side and also mark, after which I will draw a straight horizontal line. So this line here is going to be our ankle line. So after marking the vertical measurement, the next thing we are going to be doing is to insert our hip measurement. So we'll be inserting the hip measurement on the waistline, on the hip depth line, and on the crotch line. And the hip I'm using is 40 divided by 4 is 10. I'll be marking the 10 inch on the hip line. I'll also be marking it on the crotch line, and I will do the same thing on the waistline. So I'm marking my hip divided by 4, which is 10, on those points. Then the next I'll do is to connect the points using a straight line. So this line here is going to serve as the center front of the trouser. So this line here will serve as the center front of the trouser, and we'll be taking our measurement this way. So after doing this, the next thing we'll be doing is to insert our waist measurement on the waistline. The waist I'm using is 31 divided by 4 is 7.75. I'm going to be adding 0.25 allowance for ease, then plus 1 inch for that. That means I'll be inserting 9 inch at this point. That is my waist divided by 4 plus 0.25 and 1 inch for that, after which I'll connect to the hip line using a slight curve like this. So after connecting to the hip line, the next we'll be doing is the crotch extension, and in doing that we'll be dividing what we have here by 4, and the answer will be used as the extension. Remember, what we have here is 10 inch divided by 4 is 2.5. So whatever you have here, you divide it by 4, which will be used as your extension. So we'll be extending the crotch depth by 2.5. So I'll be marking it at this point. I'll just quickly extend my line to the point. So after marking it, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to draw my curve. So I'll be connecting it to the center line using a slight curve, not too deep, and in doing that I'll be going out by 1.5 inch or 2 inch, after which I will connect to the center line. You can use your hand to draw the curve, or you use your pattern master to draw the curve to the center line, but make sure it's not too deep so that the crotch line will not be tight. After drawing the curve, this is what we have. Next, we're going to be doing is to divide the crotch line by 2 to get the center of the trouser. So I'm going to be measuring what I have here. I'll divide it by 2. So here I have 12.5. I'm going to be dividing this 12.5 by 2, and what I have is 6.25. So I'll be marking the 6.25 at this point. I will do the same on the waistline. I'll also mark from this point to this point. I'll mark the 6.25 also. I'll do same on the knee line and also on the ankle. Which I'm going to be connecting the point together to draw a straight line. We are marking this point so that we get the midpoint of the trouser we are drafting. Having drawn the straight line, the next we'll be doing is to insert our thigh measurement on the thigh line. The thigh measurement I'm using is 23 divided by 2 is 11.5. So we'll be inserting the 11.5 at this point. So I'm going to be dividing the 11.5 by 2, which is 5.75. So I'll be marking the 5.75 on both sides. So I'll be inserting 5.75 on one side and 5.75 on the other side. So that is when you add them both, you'll be getting 11.5. So here is 5.75, and I will do same on this other side. Before I continue, I'll be extending the thigh line, the knee line, and also the ankle line. Next, I'll be inserting the knee circumference on the knee line. The knee measurement I'm using is 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I'll be inserting 4 on this side and 4 on this other side. So I'll be marking the 4 inch at this point, and I'll do same on the other side. Next, we'll be inserting the ankle measurement, which is 11 divided by 2, which is 5.5. So we'll be dividing the 5.5 on both sides, which is 2.75 at this point and 2.75 at this point. Next thing we'll be doing is to connect the points together. So after connecting the lines, this is what we'll be having. The next we are going to be doing is to insert the waist dart. And in doing that, we are going to be dividing the waist, what we have on the waist, by 2. Remember, we have 9 inch. So I'm going to be locating the midpoint. So I'm going to mark, which is 4.5. Then the length of the dart to be inserting on the front is 4 inch. I will mark the 4 inch and draw a straight line. After drawing the straight line, we are going to be taking our dart, which is 0.5 inch on both sides. Remember, we added the 1 inch to our waist measurement when we were inserting the waist measurement at the beginning of this tutorial. So after marking the 0.5 point, I will connect to create my dart. So this is what the front dart is going to look like after drafting. The next thing we are going to be doing is to insert our hemming allowance. I'll be using 2.5 inch for that, but I'll not be connecting it using a straight line, because if you do that, when it comes to hemming the trouser, you're going to have shortage. It's not going to hem well. So what I'm going to be doing is to fold in my paper. Because I'm using a transparent paper, it will be easier. If you are not, you can leave it until when you are cutting. So you fold it in and draw the line like this. So I'm going to be connecting the line this way. So I'll connect the line like this at this point, and I'll do the same thing on the other side, so that when it comes to hemming, it will lap very well. So after doing this, I'm going to open it up, and this is what we have. As you can see, we are having a slant line on the hem. So you are not supposed to mark it straight, so that when it comes to hemming, it will hem well. What I'm going to be doing is to trace this out on another paper, because I'll be using it to draft the back. So I'm going to be tracing it out on another paper, after which I'll come back and insert my sewing allowance and the pocket and the zipper fly. Tracing it out because I'll be doing a little adjustment on the front, so I don't want to start drafting all over again. And I'm doing it this way because my paper is transparent. If yours is not transparent, you can place it under and use a tracing wheel to trace out the line. So this will prevent me from drafting another pattern when it comes to drafting the back of the trouser. So after tracing out the back, we are back to the front again. So the next I'm going to be doing is to insert the zipper fly, and I'll be inserting the zipper fly at this point. And in doing that, I'm going to be marking 2 inch at this point. So I'll mark 2 inch on the waistline, and I'll also come and mark 2 inch on the hip line. So after doing that, I will draw a straight line. So this is all for the zipper fly for the trouser. So here we have the zipper fly for the trouser we are drafting. So the next I'll be doing is to add my 0.5 inch sewing allowance round on the trouser. So after adding our sewing allowance, next we are going to be doing is to draft our pocket, and in doing that, I'll be going in by 2.5 inch on the waistline, and I'm going to be marking it. Then the depth of the pocket is between 6 to 7 inch, depending on how deep you want it to be. So I'll mark at this point, after which I'm going to be connecting the 2 points together using a curve. So you can use your pattern master in doing that, or you can use your hand to draw the curve. So the first thing I'll be doing is to use my hand to trace out the curve like this, after which I'll use my pattern master to blend the curve. So this is what the pocket is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out my pattern, after which I'll come back and draft the facing of the pocket. So after cutting it out, this is what we have. Next, I'm going to be cutting out the pocket for the trouser, and in doing that, I am going to be tracing out the upper part of the pattern. So I will trace from the waistline to where my dart start from, and also I'm going to stop at the hip depth line. So I'm going to trace that out now. So after tracing, this is what we have. Next, I am going to be cutting out the pocket I just drafted. So this part is going to fit at this point like this. So you can decide to shape the pocket the way you want, or you can leave it straight. So I'll just draw a little curve at this point and cut it off. You can decide to do this or you leave it straight. So this is how it's going to look like. I'm going to be inserting it below the trouser. So next, I'm going to be cutting off this pocket, this curve I drew here. I'll be cutting it out. So after cutting it out, this is what we are going to be having. So the next I'm going to be doing is to cut the facing for this part here, and in doing that, I am going to be tracing out this on another paper. This is what we have after doing that. So this is the main pocket, so I'll place this under and I'm going to trace out the curve. So I'm going to be cutting off this part like this also. So after cutting it, this is what we are going to be having. So it's just for you to dip your hand in your pocket like this. So this part here, we'll be using it to turn this point here. After turning it, it will go behind so that you have a neat finishing at this point. When you turn it, it will go behind like this and you can sew it this way. So this is what the pocket is going to look like after drafting the trouser. So next, we are going to be going over to draft the back pattern for the trouser we are making. So here I have my back pattern. Remember, I traced this out from the front without the sewing allowance. So the front and back are basically the same, just a little alteration on the back. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to label the back of the trouser. So I'm going to be labeling it. This point here is my hip depth line. Here we have the crotch depth line, we have the thigh line, the knee line, and we have the full length, also known as the ankle line. After labeling the trouser, next we are going to be extending the crotch line, because the crotch line for the front and the back is not the same, and in doing that we are going to be extending this line by 2 inch or 2.5 inch, but I'll be using 2 inch. So I'll mark the 2 inch at this point, after which I'm going to be drawing a straight line to meet with the 2 inch point I just marked. So remember, this point here is the front crotch. Next we are going to be drafting the curve for the back crotch, but before then we'll be going down by 0.5 inch at this point, and we'll be drawing our curve from this 0.5 inch point. We'll draw the curve to meet with the center line at that point, and in doing that we are going to be going out by 2.5 inch at this point. Then I'm going to be drawing the curve and passing through that point. So I'll just use my hand to draw it like this. You can also use a pattern master to draft it if you are not good at freehand. So I'll just connect it to the 0.5 inch mark. After doing that, this is what we are going to be having. Next, we are going to be going over to draft the back extension, and in doing that I'll be going in by 2 inch from this point. So I'll mark 2 inch. After marking the 2 inch, next I'll be extending the back by 2 inch also. So I'll go up by 2 inch from the 2 inch point I went in by. After that, I'll connect to the center line using a straight line. This extension will make the trouser to sit well at the back without pulling down when it is being worn. So the next thing we'll be doing is to insert our waist measurement. I'm going to be inserting it in a slant form like this, but first I'm going to be extending this front waistline. Remember, this waistline we have below is the front. This is the front waistline. So I'm going to be measuring what I have on this front waistline, which is 9. I'm going to be taking it from this point to this point in a slant manner. So I'll place my tape this way and I will mark my 9-inch, after which I will draw a straight slant line like this. So the next thing I'll be doing is to add 1-inch seam allowance on the thigh line, on the nail line, and also on the ankle. I will do it on this other side too. This is done so that the side of the trouser will lap very well and it will balance well. But you can sew out these allowances when making your trouser if you want a fitted pant. But if you want it a little bit loose, you can leave it the way it is. So I'm going to be marking the 1-inch round, after which I'll connect the points together. So after adding the 1-inch seam allowance, this is what we are going to be having. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to insert the waist dart for the back. So we are going to be dividing the waist by 2. So here we have 9-inch divided by 2 is 4.5. So because we have a slant line at this point, our waist dart is not supposed to be straight, it's supposed to be slant. So I'll be marking the 4.5-inch also at this point. Next, I'm going to be inserting the length of the dart, which is 5-inch, after which I'll draw a straight line. I remember that our waist dart is 1-inch, so I'll be taking 0.5-inch on both sides to draw my dart. So next I'll be inserting 0.5-inch sewing allowance round, after which I'm going to be connecting the lines together. So after inserting the 0.5-inch sewing allowance, this is what the back is going to look like. Next, I'm going to be cutting it out. So this is what the back will look like after cutting, and here we have the front of the trouser also. So this is what you should have after cutting. So here I have the back at the front, the pockets, and the facing. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.